Hi, this is Mark from eReplacementParts.com. Does your vacuum cleaner cord look anything like this one? If so, it's time to replace it, and we're going to show you how to do that now. At first, replacing the cord on your vacuum cleaner looks like it may be a difficult task to do, but it's really not very hard, and we're going to show you how you can easily do this repair yourself. We're using a Hoover wind tunnel vacuum, which is a very common vacuum. This repair will be very similar on most vacuums. The covers and things that we remove may be in different locations on your particular vacuum. On this vac, we're going to start by removing the lower cover, which gives us access to the belt. We will also need to remove the belt from the motor to continue on with the repair. So there's 4 screws that hold this lower cover in place on my Hoover vacuum, and I'm just going to remove all 4 of those to start with. With the screws removed, I can now snap this cover right off the vacuum. It has a little push tab up top here. I'll push on that, and that whole assembly will come off. The next thing I need to do is remove the brush, and it just simply pulls right out of the vacuum. Like that. Now remove the brush from the belt, and next I'll remove the belt from the motor pulley. Just like that. And that's all we need to worry about down here for a minute. Now we're going to move on to the side cover where the filter is located. I'll open the door and remove the filter to start with. Then there are 2 screws located at the top of this filter housing. With those 2 screws removed, I can simply lift the filter housing away from the vacuum. The next part of the repair is to remove this electrical cover. We'll start by removing the screws that hold it to the body of the vacuum. I'm going to tip the vacuum all the way back so I can access all of those screws. With the screws removed from the electrical cover, there's 2 more pieces we need to remove so that we can take this cover off of the vacuum. And that's these 2 little plates here and here that hold the upper portion of the vacuum to the lower portion. And again, there's just a couple of screws on each one that hold those to the base of the vacuum. So there's one of them. And the other. With those removed, I can go ahead and lift this electrical cover right off the vacuum. Now there are some wires attached to it, so it's not going to come all the way off. But if I lift it up and kind of spin it around to the side, I can get access to all the parts we're going to have to work on next. These 2 wires are the 2 that we're concerned with. These are the ones coming from the cord, and we need to remove their connections to the motor next. This wire here is the first one we're going to work on. This is the black wire coming from the cord. And to access this, there's a little cable tie I'm going to cut. We'll remove that. And then it goes into these wire nuts, which have been secured by this electrical tape. So I'll remove that electrical tape next. Okay, with the tape removed, I can see that the black wire is connected to this blue wire inside the vacuum here. So I'm going to remove this wire nut and remove that connection with the black wire. So now the black wire is free. Now we just have to worry about the white wire coming from the power cord, and that connects to the underside of the motor. So I'm actually going to lift the motor out of the vacuum, and that'll give me access to that wire, or the other white wire. The white power cord wire is also attached to an adjacent wire with a cable tie, so I'll cut that off as well. Now this is the wire coming from the power cord, and it's connected to the motor right here. So with a pair of needle nose pliers, I'm just going to pull that right off the motor. Just like that. Now we're around to the back of the vacuum again. we need to remove the power cord from the rear of the vacuum. There's a cord retainer held on with another screw. I'll just take that out. And then the cord is held to the vacuum with a strain relief. The strain relief has a clamping portion. If I take a pair of needle nose pliers, put it on the clamping part and squeeze, now we can pull that retainer right out of the vacuum with the rest of the cord, just like that. Now we're ready to install our new cord. First we need to prep the new cord a little bit. You'll notice on our old cord we have the cord keeper that we need to change over to the new cord. And I want to put this on in approximately the same location as the old one came off. So I'll just kind of estimate those distances about right there. And the same thing with the strain relief. To remove this, I may need my needle nose pliers again. That clamping section will pull right out of the strain relief like that. Now I can pull the rest of the relief off the old cord and transfer it over to my new cord. You want to make sure you orient this the same direction as it came off the old cord. So I just install the retainer onto the new cord. I have to put a pretty good bend in the wire to seat it down into that retainer, like that. And now I can put that lid or the clamp back onto the retainer. And I'm going to give that a squeeze with my pliers just to seat everything together before we try to attach it into the vacuum. That'll put the final bend in the cord as well. So now we'll thread the new wires back into the vacuum. Snap the strain relief back into place. Now we'll just reattach the cord retainer. Remember, there was a little bend in the cable when we took that apart, and that's there just so there's not any stress or strain on the strain relief. So we'll just make sure we have a little bend left in the cord when we reattach this. Now we can make our connections to the motor. Here is the white wire from our new power cord. This terminal gets pressed back onto the lower portion of the motor. I'll get that started by hand, and then secure it down with my needle nose pliers. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and make the connection with our black wire back to the blue motor wire. This connection was made with a wire nut. So when we do this, first thing I want to do is take my new black wire and twist the individual strands of that wire together. Now take the blue wire we're going to connect to it, and we'll twist those two wires together. Now we can screw the old wire nut right back onto that connection. Now before we close this up, we'll just tidy things up a bit with a little bit of electrical tape. I'm just going to tape those two wire nuts back together just like they were from the factory. Now the electrical cover, or the motor cover, will simply just slide down into place. Make sure you have all your wires away from the cover so they don't get pinched when we replace this. Don't force anything. And when you have it in place, you can go ahead and tighten those screws back up. Now I realign the upper portion of the vacuum with the base and reattach these plates which secure the upper part of the vacuum to the base. Now we'll reattach the filter cover. And I'll replace the filter and close the filter door. Now we'll replace the belt and the brush. We'll start by sliding the belt onto the motor pulley. Now we can just lift the brush into the brush housing. Like that. And finally, we'll replace the lower brush housing. First it snaps into place, and then is attached with the 4 screws. And there you have it. A repair that would have been very expensive at the repair shop, done for a fraction of that cost at home.